In my last few videos on the Summer Wells case, I've laid out a working timeline of Tuesday, June 15th, the day that little Summer Wells went missing. As we find out more information, obviously the timeline changes or can change. In my last timeline video, it was based on Hunter's recount of the day that Summer went missing. Chris McDonough from the interview room interviewed Hunter, and thanks to him, we were able to get a working timeline from Hunter. And recently, Chris interviewed Candus, Summer's mom. And here's what Candus said about Hunter and his timeline. She said, "He was kind of telling the truth, but the way he was telling where we went and how we did it was all twisted up." So today we're going to focus on Candus's timeline and walk through the day and the evening that Summer went missing from her point of view. We'll talk about the discrepancies between Hunter and Candus as well. So now, let's get into it. In the morning of Tuesday, June 15th, 2021, Candus woke Summer up early, and she left with Summer and Candus's mom, Candy, who we will call Grandma throughout this video. They headed to the Holston Valley Medical Center as Grandma had to be there. Now, Candus said they had to be there at around 8 a.m. According to Don Wells, he said that Summer was sleeping with them and that Summer was in bed with them at around 6:30, 7 o'clock. Don states he went to work, and it was said that the three boys stayed home. So Candus stated that Summer and Grandma went to the hospital for Grandma's knee, and Candus stated that she took Grandma's truck that day. So in order to get there for 8 a.m., Candus would have to have left the Wells home at around 7:30 a.m., as it is about a 26-minute drive from the Wells home to the medical center. They could have even left a little bit sooner than that. Now, Candus mentioned as well that Summer usually sleeps in. She said till 9 or 10, and she even said until noon if she let her. So this would be a lot earlier in the morning for Summer. Now, Candus heads to Holston Valley Medical Center, and according to Candus, she's waiting in the parking lot for her mom to finish. Now, at some point after dropping off Grandma and while waiting in the parking lot, Candus states that Hunter called her, asked what she was doing, and said, "Why don't you come over while you're waiting for your mom?" But according to Hunter, he says that Candus actually texted him and called him, and he had offered for her to come over and wait. Both of them state that it had to be agreeable with Hunter's mom, Allie. And also according to both, Allie said it was okay to come over, although she said not for long because Allie's mom was coming over to visit. So Candus heads over to Hunter's to pick him up, and according to Allie, she says that it's only about a 5-minute drive away from the hospital. And Allie states that they arrived around 10 or 10:30 that morning. So there is a 2 to 2.5 hour gap between 8 and 10:30 if that is the time that Candus actually arrived at Hunter's house. Now, Candus does not mention what time she got to Hunter's place. Hunter wasn't sure and said it was around 11 o'clock, and he said he's not great with time. And as I said, Allie said around 10 or 10:30. Candus also mentions that she's not great with time either. So now, while Candus is there at Hunter's house, Hunter says that Summer changed into her swimsuit there. But Candus tells Chris in the interview that she changed at the Wells house that morning before they left. This is what she said. "I actually put her bathing suit on before we left home because it was really hot out that day. It was just something small and thin, not so hot, because I know she gets too hot." Hunter says over top of the bathing suit, he recalls Summer wearing a pink or purple tank top and shorts. Candus also believes that that day the weather was about in the 80s. Chris does ask in the interview, he says, "Are you an air-conditioned person? Was the AC on?" And Candus said, "I don't like AC." Now, if you're wondering why that was asked, remember that Summer was wearing long pants and a long-sleeve shirt in the truck on that day. And Candus mentioned that she wanted to have something thin on because Summer gets too hot. And now she's in a hot truck with long pants and a shirt and the windows rolled up, according to Candus. And Candus also said to Chris that she changed Summer's clothes. She said, "Yeah, I changed her clothes because when I have the windows down, it could be 100 degrees and I'll have all the windows up." And then Candus quotes Summer and says, "Roll up the windows, Mommy, I'm cold." And Candus says, "And she not be cold, but I still do it. That's just Summer." Candus also said numerous times in the interview, as I said, that she does not keep track of time. She says that she goes about her day and that's about it. So they leave Hunter's house, and when they get to the vehicle, Hunter says that they moved a box to the back of the truck and they put another box in the back seat behind the passenger seat. So they leave and pick up Grandma from the medical center. Now, this is where all the discrepancies start to happen and the order gets switched up. You'll see what I mean. From the medical center, Candus states she went straight to the smoke shop, then to the hippie house, then dropped off the prescription at Walgreens, then went to Warriors Park, then Sonic's, then Priceless, and then dropped Hunter off. She mentioned that Hunter was telling the truth, but he was twisting the order around. And she stated, that's exactly in that order. It's not how I remember it, it's how it was. It's the truth. I was driving, I knew where I was going. So Hunter stated that they went from the hospital straight to Walgreens and then dropped the prescription off and then headed back to the discount tobacco store. In my last video, I talked about how that was interesting because Candus would have had to pass another discount tobacco store in order to get to the one she went to, and then she would have to backtrack. However, the one store she did go to was one that sold alcohol as well. But it does make more sense to me on the map that she went straight to the discount store and then she went on from there. And as I said, the discount tobacco store also carried the twisted tea, so she bought cigarettes and one twisted tea, she said. She stated she bought it for Grandma. Hunter states he asked for it. Candus says he didn't ask me for nothing. I got him a Mountain Dew. Now, it's an 11-minute drive from the medical center to the discount tobacco store. From there, Candus states that she went straight to the hippie house and she bought 3 nicotine vapes. Hunter stated that he got one of the nicotine vapes from Candus. She states that Hunter asked for one, but she doesn't know if he took one or not, but she said she did place them on the console. Now, from the hippie house, they now head to Walgreens to drop off the prescription. It's about a 3-minute drive away. They head through the drive-thru and they were told it's going to be about a 30 to 35-minute wait before the prescription will be finished and ready, and Hunter mentions that the line is long. Both Candus and Hunter mention that it's about a half an hour wait. Now, while in the drive-thru, Hunter states that Candus gets a call from Dawn. She tells everyone to be quiet in the truck. Hunter states that Dawn tells Candus on the phone that there's been a guy on the property for the last week that's been stalking kids. Now, Hunter said that he's not sure if Dawn was working or not at this point because, as he says, if he was, then how would he know if there was a dude, as he says, on the property and looking at little kids? He also states that Dawn typically calls Candus every 2 hours, and Hunter thought that he was doing his daily checkup, but did state that what Dawn had said was suspicious. Now, Candus addressed Dawn calling, and she said, he called me and asked how everything was going and how soon we were going to be home. When it comes to Dawn talking about the guy around the property, Candus says it's a bunch of BS. Now, one thing I will say about how soon they're going to be home, I will do this in another video, but Dawn mentions something about asking Candus that and then figuring out what time he's going to come home, because if she's not going to be around all day, that he's going to be later, might as well stay at work. I do find that interesting because the time would have been, earlier that day before they even got to the swimming hole at noon. So I don't think Candus at that point really knew what time she was going to be home. From Walgreens, they now head to Warriors Park, which is about a 10-minute drive from there. And Candus said that when they got there, she got out first, opened the double door to the truck, and let Hunter and Summer out first. She said that Summer was in the middle seat and Hunter was at the end seat, or the seat near the door. So Hunter describes the same seating arrangement. He said that Grandma was in the front passenger seat, Summer was in the middle, and Hunter was on the side. Now, it would have to be on the left side because remember, the boxes were put in the back right side when Hunter left the house. Now, Hunter said Grandma was waiting in the car and the rest got out of the truck. He said Grandma was loading minutes on her phone, so she had to take care of that. Now, Candus said the first thing Summer wanted to do was run to the water, but she said she told Summer that she's going to have to wait while she grabs her stuff. Now, here are more discrepancies. Once Candus grabbed her stuff, she said that Hunter went off into the woods. They split off. Summer went in front of her and headed towards the water. Candus followed behind and Grandma behind her. Now, when she was asked about Grandma's knee, Candus said that she helped Grandma down the hill by going really slow and Grandma putting her hand on Candus to help her to the water. And remember now, Grandma has a knee brace and just got out of the hospital. But according to Hunter, he doesn't mention anything about the walk to the woods. He says right when they got out there, they got out and shared the nicotine vape by the water and he had the twisted tea. Then Candus took the TikTok video, and at the time, the timestamp was 12:21 p.m. Now, Chris asks Candus about Summer going underwater, and she states she doesn't know about it. She said if she did go underwater, it was just quick under and then back up. She said she dips her head in and comes right back up. She also says, where does this idea of under that water? I have no idea where that came from. That just blew my mind when I heard that. When she went in the water, I literally was taking the TikTok video. Now, Hunter talked about Summer being under that water. He said he threw his shirt down and went into the water to see if she's okay. He said he was spooked by it. And he said he called her name but wasn't sure if she could hear him because she was under the water. He then said he pulled her up, threw her over his shoulder and asked if she was okay. And Summer said, yeah, that she was just swimming. Now, it was Allie that brought the idea of a rock in her interview, and Candus addressed it and said, where could she have fell on a rock? There's no rocks. Which is correct. There aren't rocks that are visible out of the water. But Allie did say she slid on a rock and went under the water. So I'm not sure if there's sand under that water or if there's rocks. If you know that answer, please feel free to comment below in the comments. Then it's time to head back to Walgreens, and Candus and Hunter both say that it was about 15 or 20 minutes that they were at the swimming hole. However, Chris mentioned in one of his live streams that it was 1:33 that they were at Walgreens. So it's likely that they stayed longer at that swimming hole, or maybe they made another pit stop. Not clear yet. Now, when they left the swimming hole, Hunter stated that Summer changed. He said when she got changed from swimming, they had bought her an outfit to put on because supposed to go to Jonesboro, Jonesboro, to go to this big water park. Now, Jonesboro is a town that's about a half an hour away, and there is a water park there. But even Hunter talked about the water park, and then he introduced the idea that it was actually Friday that they were talking about the water park. So again, more discrepancies. Now, this outfit that she was changed into was said to be her outfit that she was planning on wearing her first day of school. And then Chris brought up the pillow, and Candus seemed confused about it at first. And then she said she remembers that Summer was on a pillow that day and says, Mom gets mad because the kids get in their wet bathing suits and stuff, so I put a pillow underneath her so Mom wasn't complaining. But it is a little confusing because supposedly Summer changed, right? So was she wet? Would she have been wet? Or what's the deal? But Hunter says because Summer was wet from swimming, she didn't sit in the middle of the time. She sat on a pillow at the end, which would mean that Hunter was in the middle seat. Remember, again, boxes are on the right. And in the video, the 309 video, which we'll talk about in a minute, we see her in the middle. So now they head back to Walgreens, right? And they go and pick up the prescription. They pick it up and then they decide to go to Sonic's, which is about a 3-minute drive away. And they order slushies and no food, according to Candus. Now, she says she orders 2 grape slushies, one for herself and one for Summer. Grandma got the cool water one and Hunter got the blue one. According to Hunter, he said he got the blueberry one as well as Summer, and Candus got a purple one and Grandma got an orange one. Now, one thing I've been wondering, and I've been mentioning this in my past videos, is I've wondered about the food, if there was any food eaten that day, because there hasn't been any mention of it. And maybe Candus brought food or snacks or something with her, but it just wasn't mentioned. It's been, 6 hours at this point since they've been gone from the house and no mention of food. So it's just a detail that I'm curious about. So they pick up the slushies and they head to Priceless, which is about a 10-minute drive away. And Candus says that they weren't even there 5 minutes. Now, she says that she grabbed some milk and cheese and she doesn't remember what else she bought. 5 minutes, I think that's a pretty big stretch in my opinion, only because you have to get out of the vehicle, you go in, then you have to go get the items and then go check out. And from the sounds of it, and you'll hear about this later, the groceries were put away. So they had to split them up between Grandma and Candus. So, maybe that's her guesstimate, but I'm thinking it took a lot longer. Hunter says that they actually were there for over an hour, and Hunter and Summer stayed behind in the vehicle. Now, while in the vehicle, Hunter says that he didn't notice anything unusual about Summer. So Candus and Grandma come back with the groceries, and Hunter states they put the groceries in the back of the truck and passed Hunter the milk to keep in the back with him. Hunter says he put it in the middle because he says there's no room on the other side of him. Now remember, The boxes are to the right. He was in the middle, he said, at the swimming hole, and Summer was to the left on the pillow. This is according to Hunter. But there's a discrepancy because he said he sat the milk in the middle because if they fall, then it would spill all over him. Now, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe he was in the middle seat. It seems to be a discrepancy. And in the interview with Chris, he said, "I totally thought I was sitting in the middle the entire time, but I guess not." Now, Allie confirmed that when they arrived at their house, that Summer was in fact in the middle. Now, when it comes to the milk, according to Candus, this is what she said. There's two versions. The first version, she said, it was sitting right there beside Summer, because when I handed it to Hunter in the car, he was on the outside, meaning near the door. I said, "Hunter, put it on the other side of Summer and just set it over there." She was wide awake, sitting up. She didn't go to sleep until after we left town. Now, in the second explanation, she said, they weren't on the floor. When we dropped him off, they were still on his lap and he put them on the other side of Summer. He set them over there by the black tote she had in there. Note, Allie says that she saw Summer sleeping in the back, and Hunter said he wasn't sure if Summer was sleeping when he left. Candus said that she was wide awake. So they arrive at Hunter's, and Candus said in the interview, "Hunter, you're not coming to the house, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going back to your house." And I took him back to his house and dropped him off and left, and Summer was still awake when I left his house, and Allie didn't never walk to the truck and try to talk to me. I tried to get her to come over to talk to me, but she wouldn't. And note, Allie said that she came to the truck that day and she said she wanted to give Summer a hug, and Summer was sleeping then. And she also said that she tried to talk to Candus, but Candus said she had to get the groceries in, and Allie said the windows are rolled up so she couldn't even talk to Summer. So Allie said that they arrived at around 2:30 p.m. Hunter says he got out of the vehicle, grabbed a vape from Candus, and then goes into the house. Now, it takes approximately half an hour, as I said, to get to the Wells house. But around 40 minutes later, the video was taken at 3:09 p.m. of Summer in the back seat. Now, Summer fell asleep on the ride home, according to Candus. In the first interview, she said that just about 2 minutes from home is where her arms went down. She described what that video was all about. She said that she asked Grandma what Summer was doing. Grandma says she fell asleep. Candus says, "Oh, how's she sleeping?" And then Candus describes that she had her arms up like this, sleeping, and she thought it looked a lot like Dawn, so she wanted to capture the moment. And so she said she told Grandma to take a picture, but Grandma got it wrong and accidentally took a video. She said by the time that they did the video, that's when Summer's arms were down. And in that video, you can see candy on the seat as well as orange soda, or as we call in Canada, orange pop. Now, Chris asked both Hunter and Candus about it. Hunter said Grandma bought the candy for Summer in the store, and he's not sure about the orange soda. He says he doesn't remember it being there. I also had mentioned in my last video that if it was, Hunter would be sitting on it. If in fact he was sitting at the edge and Summer was in that middle seat. Now, when Candus was asked about these two items, she said about the orange soda, that was my mom's. She was drinking that and then didn't want no more of it. As for the candy, Candus kind of chuckles and then says that candy's been in there. Now, remember though, Grandma gets mad about a wet bathing suit, and the candy has been sitting there. So I do find that a little interesting. Now, some people are wondering, well, what's the big deal that there's candy and pop or soda in the back seat? But that's a little detail that maybe the question starts to arise that was there someone else in that vehicle after they dropped Hunter off? Because also Hunter would have been sitting right on the candy and on the soda, and he would think he would remember that. So they arrive at the house, and the guess would be, sometime after 3 o'clock, obviously because 3:09 they were driving, and that's when that video was taken. And Candus states that it was only a couple of minutes before they got home that Summer was sleeping. So she said she unlocked the gate, went up the driveway. She said she woke Summer up, unbuckled her, and got out of the car, as she called it, and then she went in and got the boys from the house to help with the groceries. Candus states that the boys were at the table in the house watching TV, But in her explanation to Chris, though, she says, well, technically they were watching TV and sleeping at the same time. And I was just going to run out for a second, and I didn't even plan for Hunter to be with us that day at all. He just called and was like, want to come over for a second? I was like, yeah, I'll come over for a second, but I got to get right back to Mom. And that was a quick second thing. And he's like, Mom, can I go with them? I'm like sitting there just shaking my head like this. And I was like, I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Thinking nothing of it. Know what I'm saying? I always take them kids. Now, I'm not sure how they could be sleeping and watching TV at the same time and at the table. I'm wondering if Candus was nervous because, the boys would have been home all day between that 7:30 mark and past 3:30. But the oldest would be 13 in September. Now, the second time she was asked, she described the boys watching TV again at the table, but she does not mention that they were sleeping at the same time. And something else she also says, she says they were all locked in. Nobody could get in and nobody could get out, kind of thing. Another interesting statement. So she says she brings the boys out, they grab the groceries, they go back in the house, Summer's with her, and Grandma too. They sort the groceries because Grandma's groceries are in there as well. And she says Grandma then walks across, I'm assuming that's to her place in the trailer, and Summer and Candus put away the groceries, and Candus says they're all watching TV with the boys and hanging out all at the same time. Then Candus says that she does some laundry and says there's so much of it to do. Now, interesting, the second time she was asked, she does not walk Chris through that she was doing laundry. So I'm wondering, what time did she actually do laundry? How many loads of laundry was it? Because it sounded like there was piles and piles of it. So it's just something interesting she missed the second time. Then she says she sees Grandma sitting on her doorstep looking around. Candus asked what her problem was, she said, and Grandma says we got to get these plants planted in bigger pots. Now, Candus said she knows the boys aren't going to help, so with the flowers, so she ran and got Summer. She said Summer was sitting in the kitchen and playing with her toys, and she asked if she wanted to come out and plant flowers. Summer jumped up at the chance and said that she wanted to help. Candus said it took around 30, 40, or 50 minutes or so to get it done. She says they take their time and not too fast in these things. After they were finished transplanting, they went into Grandma's trailer and washed their hands. Summer asked for candy from Grandma, and Grandma gave it to her, and then Candus said they sat there for about 5 minutes at the most. And then Candus said Summer wanted to go back into the house and see her brothers. Candus walked and watched Summer go in the door, she said, from the kitchen door, as Candus called it. She said she told the boys to watch Summer and she'll be right back. Now, Candus went back to the trailer and helped Grandma with her knee brace and figures it was about 2 to 5 minutes. When she was finished, she said she walked back into the house, asked the boys, where's Summer? And they said that she went downstairs in the basement to play with her toys. So she said she called out to Summer and Summer didn't answer. Candus then said she looked everywhere. She said she ran down the stairs and she was freaking out. She said she couldn't find her anywhere and that she was just gone. She said she can't recall if the door was locked or not. And we do hear discrepancies throughout interviews that they're not sure. So she said she then went outside the basement door and she looked around to see if maybe Summer was sitting outside, because she said she sometimes does that, or if she ran around to her swing, but she wasn't there. Now, she then said she sent the boys down near the creek to go look for Summer. Then she said she freaked out and called Dawn and said, I cannot find Summer, come home now. And Dawn said to call the cops. So she says she threw the phone down into the back of his pickup truck. She said she ran to Grandma's house and picked up her phone and called 911. She said she didn't want to have to wait for the authorities to arrive. She wanted to keep looking for Summer, so she said she hopped in her vehicle and she drove around. She said she didn't see any cars or no one, and she said she was flipping out and a hot mess. And she says it makes no sense. Now, she does offer a theory. She figures someone snuck up in that yard and took Summer, or as she said, my baby girl. And there are a lot of theories about that day that are being offered by Dawn, by Candus, by the whole internet as well. And Dawn also talked about a coworker he said he fired the day before Summer went missing, and that this coworker is very vengeful, according to Dawn. And even workers from Candus's recount, she said that there were workers around that property even up to that morning, I believe. So many theories, but the question is, what really happened that day? And where's Summer? Now, in that interview with Chris, Candus said, I can't even enjoy life without my kids. She said, you might as well just rip my chest out and throw it out there for the fish to eat because it's worthless without her. I try and be strong for my boys. I try to have hope. Now, in my next video, I'll be talking about Don's recent interview, as well as adding to the timeline and talking about the discrepancies and his theories that he offers. I know the other night while I was interviewing Chris, I was a little confused about the coworker, if there was one or two, and I will be going through that information and through that interview to make sure that I have it right. Let's have a chit chat below. Please keep it classy in the comments. There's enough hate out there. Please share this video where you can, give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. There's always new videos coming. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.